So we're going to work on CardString real quickly. I've created a new project here. CardString, you can see we're supposed to write a program CardString that takes user input, describing a playing card in the following shorthand notation. So basically a 2 to 3 character code could be something like A, D, which would be the ace of diamonds, or 10H, the 10 of hearts. And then we're supposed to get that input and then print out the full name of the card. So enter the notation, and then it'll tell us what the card is. And notice that we're actually writing out the letter or the number there for. So interesting. We're capitalizing the number and capitalizing the suit. Cool. And then maybe we'll do the variation just for fun. So, but first of all, we've basically got if else statements that we're going to work with here. I think that's probably our strategy. So let's make the card string main program here, and we'll run through. We'll make sure that this is a doable thing. Think about it while I'm typing my information in here. What things do we need to make this program work? How are we going to be organizing our logic in all of this? They're asking for input, so I guess at some point I'm going to have to import the scanner. So I'll go ahead and get that in there. And yeah, at least for this first version, I'm just going to do a main program. So we'll do public static void main and the string and the args, and we'll put all that stuff in there. And you know at the very beginning, if I'm going to be scanning something, I do have to create a scanner object. We're going to learn very, very soon about what exactly that means to create an object, to create an instance of an object. So I've created my scanner, and now I can get it input from the user. And maybe that's exactly what I need to do to start out here is I'm going to ask the user to enter the card notation. So let me go ahead and do that. System out print. I'll just do a print. Enter the card notation. And I will give them, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And then let's get that card notation. Let's get that string. That's a string variable. And let's just call it card maybe. Card is going to be equal to in dot next line or next. I guess it's all just going to be one string. So I could use either next or next line. I think I'll just use next there. That'll get that information. And now I'm going to try to figure out what card it is. And I'm going to do all that fun stuff. So when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, I've got 4S or JH or let me jump in here. Sorry, I want to draw on the screen real quickly here. Oh, that was funny that I did that. I want to be able to say, well, or analyze this a little bit and think about what happens when they say 4S, that's 4 and then an S, or a J and then an H. How can I split this up? Keeping in mind, too, that I might get a 10, like I might get a 10C, which is the 10 of clubs. So how do I break this up? I don't want to just get the first character, because sometimes I have 2 characters at the beginning that are going to represent the value of that card. Sometimes it's only 1 character at the beginning, though. So how am I going to figure that out? I guess what I could do is I could say, well, let me look at the last character. That's the easy thing to find. I can identify the last character pretty easily. And the way you do that, and that's going to be the suit, right? So string suit, I'll save that in a suit variable. So I'm just trying to strip off that last character in there. So if, maybe I'll just make a little note to myself in here. Example, 10 of clubs equals of clubs. So take a look at that there, that last character. And I've got some tools that I can use. That last character, what position is that last character at there? That last character there is at, well, it's in the last position. If I have a length of 3 in there, then that character is at that 3rd position. But remember, when we look at characters in something like this, we begin numbering from position 0. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2. Total length of the string is 3, but I'm trying to identify the position or the character at position 2. So with that in mind, if you give me a length, I'll just maybe subtract 1 from that, Would that work? What if I did 4 of spades? The length is 2, and I'm trying to find the character at position 1. So yeah, for both of those examples, I take the length, subtract 1, and the character at that position is the one I'm looking for. All right, so let's try and figure that out. So that means I'm going to be taking a look at the card string, and I'm going to get the substring from that, starting at card length, either 3 or 2, minus 1. And then I would go to the end of it, but or I would put another index there to go up to, but I'm actually just going to go through the entire rest of the string. So I don't have to put a second parameter in there. If I choose this position, it'll automatically go all the way to the end. And the only thing I have in this is that one character. So going all the way to the end, yeah, that just still gets that one character. But let me double check that that's working. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. As you put stuff in, as you develop your program, test it as you go to make sure that the pieces are working. And if you run into a stumbling block, we'll get that stumbling block fixed before you go any farther. So if I'm running this, enter the card notation. If I put in 10 of clubs, I'm expecting to get a C out. That's good. And I'll have to convert that and actually print out clubs, but I'll figure that out in a minute. What happens if I run it again and I just put in the 2 of spades? Then I'm getting the S. So it's figuring that out every time. And I'm not expecting this input, but what happens if somebody actually just types in diamonds, D? And it's identifying that as a diamond there. So that's cool. We're not going to do that, but I was just checking out to see how my little algorithm works. So this is pulling off the suit. How do I get the value? Now I need to get that value part of it. The string value is going to be equal to, and this is interesting. So I'm going to start at position 0, because what I have to do is get that very first character and go up to right before this. And fortunately, that's how substring works. If I put that straight in there, this is going to get 0, 1. It'll keep on going up until we get to 1 before the character at this position. And since this is the character at the last position, then it'll stop right before it gets there. But I want to double check and see, so let's system out print line and make sure it's doing what we think it's doing. So let's compile that and run that and see what happens. So I'll go with my 10 of clubs. It's pulling out the 10 part. Notice I didn't convert it to a value. I don't think I'm going to in this particular case for reasons we'll see in a moment. What happens if I put the ace of spades? Then I'm getting that A character out there. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to convert it to a number, is because sometimes it's not a number. Sometimes it's an A for an ace or a J for a jack. So I'm going to leave it in a string form. Well, this is really good. I've made some great progress here. I haven't gotten to the hard part of this, but I've got people entering a card in, and I am parsing or splitting up the information in that string so that I can find out the important parts. Now I need to print out for each one of these something of something. So I need to identify that string value there. I've got the suit and the value, but I need to identify the string version of that. So how about if we do this? There's a couple ways we could do this. I think I'm just going to print it out, all right? So first of all, let's get that number. Let's look at that value there. So if, and this is going to be super annoying, right? If the value dot equals, have to use dot equals for strings, A, then what am I going to do? I'm going to system.out.print. I'm not going to print line. I'm just going to print ace. That's going to be that part of it. Else, if value dot equals 2, then I'm going to system out print 2. And this is super annoying because I'm going to have to go through every single thing here. And I'm probably not going to do all those because that's pointless for us to watch that in the video. I did want to mention something here real quickly, because obviously there are going to be a bunch of these things down here, right? If value dot equals 3, maybe I'll jump down to looking at some of the more interesting ones. J, then I'm going to system out print Jack, and so on. There's a few others that we're going to be taking a look at there. So if I compile this right now, notice it doesn't really like something that's happening here. I'm going to have to take a look and see what's going on. Oh, that's right, because I need an extra parenthesis there. Yep, you saw that already. Of course, you knew that. Let me put one more in here just to make it a little more complete. One of the things I've told you is that we like you to do these curly braces like this. Oops, very printed. We want to do these curly braces, be very explicit, because you guys are just learning about this and it's really easy to mess up. And so we want you to write it like this. It turns out that if you're writing it like this, if you've got a whole bunch of different options here and they're just very simple and easy, it's a little bit easier to see what's going on if you write this in the style of what they call a switch statement. So a switch statement basically is just a bunch of different options. And here we have a bunch of different options. Whatever our value is, then we're going to convert it to something. So one way that you can kind of ease this up a little bit, make it look a little bit more presentable, is if you just line these things up so that that single option goes on that one line. And we'll continue doing that. You don't want to do this every time. You're getting special dispensation to do this right now for this particular problem, just because it is kind of annoying. And this is a nice way of checking to see what's going on. In fact, you can line these up like this visually to make sure that you're following the pattern. That's one nice way of looking at this stuff, using spacing to make sure that you haven't lost a quote mark or anything like that, or your braces are all matching up. So this is one way of managing that situation here. And again, you don't get to do this every time, but for this assignment, we'll let you do this. There's a lot going on in there, right? A lot of statements there. So I don't have them all listed, but I've got 4 there. That's enough for me to at least test the idea. Now, after I print out what the value of the card is, I'm also going to need to print out I guess, of, right? Space of space. So I'm going to print that. So I'm going to print 4, and then I just printed of, and it's always going to be something of something. So I'll do that regardless of what happens. And now the last thing I need to check, again, you'll need to be adding more stuff in there. The last thing I need to check is, well, what's the suit of the card? So I guess this is going to be another if-else situation, right? Now we're going to be checking the suit of the card. If suit dot equals, and what's our order? Diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs. So I'll just use them in that order. If I've got a diamond, then I'm going to system out print line, and I'm print lining this time because it's the end of the line. Diamonds. Else if suit dot equals, and maybe I'll just grab all these, right? Grab that, put that in. Else. I'll put all those in. This is going to be diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs. Diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs. Nice. So I think I've got everything lined up there. Let me try and compile that and see what happens. It looks like it's good. So I can't test it with everything, but I'm going to test it with a few things. I'll try the ace and the 2 of whatever, and we'll see where we go with this. So let's run. And I'll put in ace of spades, and hopefully ace of, ooh, I like it. I like it. Let's try again. How about the 2 of clubs? Oh, club, that's not right. Clubs, I left off an S there. I'll fix that. That's better. You always want to test everything. Uh-oh, what happened? Did I break something? Oh yeah. Let's try a couple of others. Let's try the jack. We'll try and figure out that jack situation. So the jack of diamonds. Nice. And what else do I have available? Queen. Oh, let's try the Queen of Hearts. Of course, QH, the Queen of Hearts. The one thing we didn't include, we kind of tested it, but the thing that can mess this up is there's one of these values that has 2 characters, and we want to check that one as well. Remember that value, if we get the 10, then there's the potential for things to get mixed up because there's 2 characters as opposed to all the others which just have a 1 character code. So yeah, let's see what happens here. We'll double check that the 10 works out just fine. And 10 of diamonds. 10 of diamonds, working great. That's a solid look at this program and that process that you go through. Obviously, if you are going to be writing a method get card string and sending in that notation, then rather than printing these out, you're going to assemble them and return a string. And that's a little bit tricky. Let's figure out how to do that real quickly here. If you are just done, then of course you can get out of here, but this will take 2 more minutes. Get card string, and we're going to send in that card notation. So let's do that. I'm going to take all this stuff out of my program. I'm going to copy it and get it out of there. So now I have a public static. I'm going to be sending back a string, get card string, and I'm going to be receiving a string that is the card string that they've entered, right? That's going to be coming into me. And what I'm now going to try and do is return a value, return some result that I'm creating in here. So how am I going to do that? Let me paste in all that code that I had from before, because the logic is the same. I'm going to have to redo some of the particulars, but the logic is exactly the same. When this card comes in, I'm going to be taking that card and getting the substring and saving that in something called suit. I'm going to get the value. This is all exactly the same. The thing that's different, I guess, is I'm not printing out. I'm not going to be doing system out print ace. What I want to do is I want to have this result that I'm going to send back. And that result is going to consist of whatever the value is of and whatever the suit is. So how about if I do this? I'll make that result at the very beginning, and I'll make it just the empty string. Oh, this is going to be pretty clever. If I get an A, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say result equals whatever it was before plus this ace thing. And actually, I don't even need to do that because, well, don't have to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'll just say result is equal to ace, right? Because it's the very first one. So I'm going to say result equals ace. But if it's not that, what about if it's a 2? Then result will equal 2. So I'm starting out with nothing in there. Result equals 10. So same pattern going on here. I think I've got some extra parentheses here that I probably don't need. And so here what we've done is we've just set that result equal to the value that we're working with here. We do have to establish result before we go in here and do this. If we don't do that, it's going to freak out. So we have to set up result first, and then we're resetting result to one of these. But then down here, I need to say it's going to be ace of something. So this will be clever. What I'm going to do down here is I'm going to say result is going to be equal to whatever it was before plus this of string. So I'll keep what I had before, whether it's ace or 2 or 10, I'll keep it from what I had before and add that of to it. So now it's ace of or queen of or 10 of. And then finally down here, same thing. I'm not going to just wipe out what was there before. I'm going to say if it's a diamond, then I'm going to take the result that was there before, which might be jack of, and then I'll add on a diamonds to the end of it. So it'll be jack of diamonds. So these are all going to be result equals result plus whatever the new thing is. And yeah, I have to get rid of those parentheses there. So a little bit of finagling to do to convert this over, but the general process, the general logic is the same. And so once I've done all those, when I return that result, I should be sending back the string that has what I'm looking for. And so now what I do, after I get card down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's call the method getCardString. So I'll call getCardString, and I'll send in that card. And then what am I going to do with that? Well, actually, I want a system out print line. I want to print whatever I get back from that. So hopefully the method is going to be sending back this string, and then I'll print it out here, and I'll see what the result is. Let me compile that. Oh, it doesn't like this. I have one of those leftover parentheses. Compile that, and let's run it and see what happens. See if it works the same as it did before. 10 of clubs, 10 of clubs. So it's still working. That's great. That method, yeah, it's working just like it should. So let's go ahead and leave it at that. I hope this is helpful. Talk to you soon.